and welcome to the Not My Job Pod. I am your host, Emily Gant, and today we are joined by the lovely Jonny Whitlam. So thank you for being here.
No one's called me lovely before. Thank you.
I'm sure that's not true.
No, it's fantastic to be here, and I've really enjoyed what you've been doing, and it's a real honor to be a part of it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I think, for me, it's just kind of like fun and weird that doing this, I'm slowly getting to like meet people through this. And like that has been extra fun because I feel like I've been following your videos for at least 2 years now.
Oh,
So,
wow. I'm sorry. If you need a daily dose of absolutely terrifying German history, I'm always here, right? It's, yeah, often when I'm out recording, I will. So for anyone who doesn't know, I make long and short videos on the internet about German history. And if I'm going out to record or something, I'll call my sister and just have a bit of a chat on the way. And I'll just be like, nobody dies in this one. It's a nice story, which I find actually are the ones that tend to do a little better online. But I feel like I'm jumping right into the middle here.
no, all good. I guess, let's start with that. So, for those who don't know you, which I think most people do know you, but in the case for, like my mom who's listening, who's like, who is this guy? What do you do?
Yeah, great. Hi, Mom. So yeah, I'm a tour guide. I've been a tour guide in Berlin for over 15 years now, and I mean, I've always loved that, and kind of accidentally found my way into management at one point, which felt like a nice upgrade
Hmm.
in life. I was quite proud of that, but after doing that for several years, I realized I kind of, it's like a lot of managers in any business. You don't do the thing that you signed up to do. You manage people, and you only manage people who aren't very good. If people are good at their job, they don't need managing. Off they go. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I found myself spending a lot of time in the parts of the business that I didn't like. And
Hmm.
so I thought what I need to do is more managing.
Mm.
So I went to be a manager at a tech company, which I know isn't allowed on this show, but I was only there for 2 months. So I feel like it
Okay, it
doesn't
doesn't
quite.
count. It doesn't
Yeah.
count.
Yeah. I fell out of love with tech a lot quicker than you did, I think. I don't know if you're in love with it or not. How dare I say that?
No, I think it's pretty fair. If any of my colleagues are listening, I think they know that I wouldn't call myself in love with it. But yeah, I think in Berlin, a lot of people, just kind of work in that tech bubble.
They
But
do these days, yeah.
yeah,
And so, yeah, then I quit that with no plan other than that I have this freelance skill I can always
yeah.
go back to. I can always be a tour guide. And everyone knows the best time to do that is in September when summer's finishing. Great time to look for work.
Wait, so you went from I am confused now. So
Oh,
you went from
easy.
okay.
Guide, manager of guides, very short stint as in a tech company. Very
Oh,
short
okay,
stint.
okay. So you actually came over here, but how did that happen? So like, because you came over, you were quite young, and then you were like,
Yeah.
how did you get into like being a tour guide?
First job I ever had, really.
Was it
Thank
like
you.
you had a beer in a bar and somebody was like, you should try this, or
No, I'd been on a couple of tours and I thought, oh, I could do that. That looks like fun. I enjoy talking in front of people. I know quite a bit about this history, not to the level that a guide should at that point, but did a bit of training, and perhaps those first tours were a bit rough, but effectively, the place where I was working at first, they basically said, well, you work on the 25th of December, the 31st, and then the 1st of January. And I was like, yeah, I'll do that.
okay.
I'm 21. I'll do anything. And that's basically how I got in. And yeah, I've been doing that in some form ever since. And so, yeah, then I came back to guiding full time about 12 years after I did my first
Okay,
tour.
okay. Yeah. And so how would you, if you could go back on your first tour that you ever like took people on, do you remember it or do you remember what you were talking about or like how you were trying to engage with people or
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I leaned a lot more into humor, kind of jokes with an obvious kind of setup and a punchline and stuff. And I think I focused a lot more on entertaining because I don't think my history knowledge was it was good enough compared to what it is now.
yeah.
I'm very fortunate that people get to come on my tours now
Okay,
in
okay.
comparison. But that's okay. You should improve if you do something for years and years. Like
Yeah.
I'm not like ashamed of how poor my first tours would have been. But yeah, who's good on their first day at work?
Yeah, that's fair. But I guess how much is there like a is there some sort of like regulation as to like who can and can't be a tour guide in Berlin
No,
or
not in Berlin. No. So there are those regulations I believe, in the UK, or certainly you
Mhm.
can become this blue badge guide in the UK, which I know is very prized and very hard to get. In Italy, it's the opposite of Berlin. It's very, very strict,
Okay.
and they're very protective of their history and how it's presented. And perhaps a middle ground is better because anybody can be a tour guide in this town tomorrow. And in a way, that's not very typical of Germany. That it's quite free and easy. In another way, yeah, anyone can go out there saying, anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I see the merits of both ways, but maybe a middle path is a bit better. There is
Yeah.
an organization in Berlin called Bundesberliner Stadtführer that tries to kind of have something of an accreditation that you can't just sign up, but I'm not sure how well known. I was going to say they are or we are since I'm a member, but yeah, perhaps some regulation might be better.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I saw you did recently like it was one of those like bar talks, right?
Mm,
That was like because the topic wasn't like about your job though. It was about like how to quit your 9 to 5.
yeah, yeah. The people who organized that were really
Mhm.
nice, and they're doing loads of interesting talks actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted it. Their original version of the marketing was a lot more amped up, and I was like, let's
What was the amped
calm
up
it down.
version?
It was, a bit more fulfill all your dreams and all that. And they actually wanted it to be a lot more about me. And like I
Okay.
can talk about me all day, which is, not
So
always.
they wanted it to be fulfill your dreams, and you were like, no, no, I don't want to tell people to do that.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted it a bit more grounded, but also I tried to, and I did, they were super nice to work with. I wanted to make it more about the audience. Like, therefore, you have to give general advice. There's 50 people in a room, but it was more like, what can you do to get to where you want to be without using this kind of over the top language? That's why we
Okay.
settled together on like quit your 9 to 5, because it's kind of a shorthand for I'd rather be doing something else.
Okay.
Right?
For
For
those, sorry, because whoever's listening that doesn't know what Brewing Minds is, it is, what is it? It's
yeah,
a series.
the series of talks like that. I mean, when they started marketing mine, I was also on the same list as someone who was like, have better orgasms.
Okay.
So, I had no chance. I don't know why anyone showed up to my talk. Like, it's not very
Did you have to
interesting at
follow
all.
that, or you had to?
How do you mean?
Were you before or after
Oh, that was
the
on a
better?
different day
Oh, different
entirely.
day entirely.
Yeah,
Okay, I
yeah.
didn't know if it was like two people quit your 9 to 5, have better orgasms, and
It would be
like
better
oh
that way
shit,
around, wouldn't it?
yeah,
Yeah. But no. So a lot of friends were messaging like, "Dude, you're doing the wrong talk." I'm
no,
not interested in what you have to say. So yeah, they do. I mean, I don't have them off the top of my head, but they do a variety of talks from, I guess, either experts or self-appointed experts.
but would you call yourself? I mean, you're kind of an expert though in this area.
Well, I have a degree in politics from a university in England
Yeah,
from 2010. That's my only academic
but
achievement worth mentioning, I suppose.
I don't think academic qualifications make you an expert though. Like, it's got to be. I don't know. There's like the
I
fact
think
that you've been doing it for so
I'm a
long.
mixture of good enough and able to present well. So, you might not want to go to a historian or academic who would certainly have better knowledge
Hmm.
about this, because I talk on a wide range of things. So
Hmm.
on the specifics, there's always going to be multiple bigger fish, but they might not be able to talk to an audience or phrase things in a succinct way. Or yeah, so I'm a good go-to for that, especially
Hmm.
when media people get involved. And kind of, I don't know, is the opposite true? Am I not an expert in Berlin history? No. Am I an expert? No. I feel like I'm good enough, and I like the direction I'm going in. But whenever, when you start doing a new thing and you find out a little bit about it, you've been entering the world of social media in a serious way, and
Yeah,
you realize you're like, oh, I learned that. Oh, I'm good at this. Oh, now I know so much. But you realize you're at the base of the mountain,
yeah, yeah.
and there's always. I mean, this is a huge city with loads of history, and yeah, there's always more to know.
So as you get into it, was there any point, because the way you describe that makes me feel like how I think about German, learning German is like, I feel like A1, A2, you're like, I got this. I can learn so fast. It's going to be great. And then like once you hit like, I don't know, end of B1, B2, you're like, I'm never going to speak this language literally ever.
Yeah, I'm never gonna get my Daddy Dustin Dentist in
Yeah,
order.
no.
My advice is give up on give up on the idea of perfection.
On the idea of
Yeah,
perfection. But like,
yeah.
is that kind of how it feels though with like German history? I don't know, you get into uh, I don't know, let's say all the boys are really into World War II. So like say you're like really interested to World War II. That's my generalization. Uh
It's a fair.
yeah, is
Yeah,
it?
but 90% of my YouTube audience is male.
Okay. Okay, okay. So they're all
Versus,
that's a side segue because yeah, all the political content as well. It's like 80% male and I'm like
oh,
this is weird.
interesting.
I'm like where do I get the politically active ladies? Where are they?
Yeah, where are they hiding? Yeah,
I don't know. I gotta find them.
for
Sorry,
sure.
but anyway, the thing was we was talking about how you like what does the base of that mountain look like in terms of history?
Um, every new book that either comes out or older book that I read or whatever, you just find out new stuff.
Yeah.
And therefore the idea that you can say, well, I know it, always always be skeptical of someone who says, I'm the expert, I know everything, I'm the best. It is not any kind of false modesty. It's not being humble for no reason. This is me just being very honest. Like, yeah, I probably know more than the average person about what I do. I should. It's my job to do that. That's fine. But yeah, it's a constantly evolving thing. And that's what makes it so interesting. And so I'm happy to learn new stuff and then make new tours or make new videos, or whatever I do. Being at the top of the mountain, I think, would be no fun, especially when I was like a teenager. Loved video games, like play them all the time. I still love them, and just you have less time, the older you get. And Grand Theft Auto, amazing, love that. You put in all the cheats, you get all the weapons, you can go to all the places, and then you're like, I'm done. Like that's it. This is kind of
Yeah.
ruins it if you've got everything. And so the journey is often more interesting than the destination, and that's how I certainly feel about my job in terms of, man, just the last 3 years have been amazing. Learned so much stuff, not just history, but video editing and social media. And yeah, I don't want to know it all. I want to keep having stuff to find out.
But I mean, you've been doing it now for, you said 12 years. So then
15 years as a
15
guide.
years total.
Yeah.
Wow. That's like, that's a long time.
Yeah, but the last 3 years are the interesting years.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. Like, because you decided you were like, all right, I'm going to start posting on social media about this. And then I assume the idea, or at least the idea, if it were me, I'd be like, okay, if people recognize me, then I can probably charge more for tours. But I don't know if that went through your head. Maybe you're a bit of a nicer person.
That's right, capitalism.
Yeah.
The idea for me was not so different from that, actually, but it was more that I can cut out the middleman. So
Okay.
tourism operates with a lot of, this would be coming from a tech perspective, I think quite interesting, because big tech dominates everything. But tourism is a series of small businesses, outside of large chain hotels. I mean, it's just a series of small businesses who often have no idea when it comes to tech. So you'll just sign up to whatever platform, system, whatever it is that you need to use to get it done. And yeah, it's often kind of breaks down by language, but in English, booking tours, or what are often now called experiences, comes down to Viator and Get Your Guide
Okay.
in Europe. Like that's, I would guess, 70, 80, 90% of the market. Airbnb is kind of in there, and everything else is also present. And therefore, these large companies can charge you minimum 20%, often much more.
Okay.
And bear in mind, we're in Germany where taxes are also very high. So you
Mhm.
have to charge a lot to receive, not that much. And so if you can save 20%, 30%, do it, right? That's how
Yeah.
any business should work. And so I was just like, well, I'll just cut out a middleman.
Yeah.
And that's all I was thinking. And I've done it to the point where I can happily name drop the people who I don't want to work with in terms of those large companies,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not worry about it at all, because
That's really,
I don't rely on them in the slightest. But I also, I mean, the reason I set up my Instagram account, which is my most successful, was so that I had 1,000 followers, so that people would know that this is a real business. Like that was my entire goal with the account.
okay. So just social proof.
That was it. And then, yeah, I saw other tour guides across the world make these short videos. I mean, great. No one wants a tour guide to talk for 20 minutes. They want to talk for 2 minutes and see lots of stuff,
Mhm.
And so it's kind of a perfect medium for tour guides is short form video. And yeah, so I essentially copied what guides in London and New York were doing. But because I was like, look, those cities are super interesting. This is the most interesting city in the world.
Mhm.
I have no doubt about that. So
Yeah.
like that format with this material, bang, like this is going to work.
Mhm.
And it worked way better than I expected it to. Like
Mhm.
I just say, 1,000 followers was my goal, and I'm
Yeah.
like just gone over 70, which is,
That's crazy. In 3 years, that's like, that's a lot of growth.
it feels weird. A friend of mine was always like, as I was growing 4, 5, 6,000, he's like, "Oh, you could fill like a fourth league football game." Like he kept comparing it to that
Yeah.
in the UK, and 70,000 is the capacity of the Olympia Stadion in Berlin, which is just like
Crazy when you think
mind
about it.
blowing. Yeah,
But then you've also gotten to do like other, 'cause, like I've seen you in videos with other people, like at the Olympia Stadium, and then so like what were kind of the opportunities that then came from this? Was it like people reached out to you, like, hey, we want to work with you on this, or
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, it tends to be that way round. Tends to be that people contact me, which is more a comment on the fact that I don't probably do anywhere near enough outreach. Although I reckon I did this outreach, right? I was like, I want to be on your show.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's very kind of you to say. I think what happened, yeah, what happened was I no, maybe you don't remember this. Originally, it was on TikTok. I saw that you had liked one of my videos, and then I got all excited. So you don't remember this? Okay, cool. I got all excited. I was like, "Oh, I actually know that guy. I like that account. I love that account." And then I went to like click on the like to like see what video that you liked, and then TikTok sent back like a like that I liked that you liked it or something. And I was like, I don't know how TikTok works.
No, you sent me the accidental message.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, TikTok does that, doesn't it? Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
cool. No, I forgot about that.
Yeah, yeah. So originally that was me, and I was like, I don't know how TikTok works. And then like I made you were like, oh, don't worry, we'll send each other like something random at some point.
All the
But
time on TikTok. Yeah, the
yeah,
messaging system is completely.
yeah.
We're swearing.
What?
Is we're a swear friendly
Oh
podcast.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're
yeah, yeah. No, TikTok's messaging is completely fucked. Yeah,
yeah,
it's completely unfit for
yeah,
that
yeah.
purpose.
No, but that's how that happened. But anyway, then once I was like, well, now I'm accidentally speaking to you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fantastic.
now I'm
No,
like,
no,
please
I
podcast.
really like what you do. So
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. No, real. I at least feel like this was my outreach. But anyway, with those other
You
things, so
can
the
have
one
it.
you saw at the Olympic Stadium
Yeah.
was a guy who was representing Sports Illustrated.
Mm,
Max Whittle is his name. And I was like, yeah, great. I mean, say yes to as many things as possible, especially if there's a big
yeah.
name attached and something that you're excited about, interested
Yeah, yeah.
about, like the 1936 Olympics is
Hmm.
endlessly fascinating to me. And that's what he wanted me to talk about and focus on. The
Yeah.
premise of his video as a whole was about an NFL game that was being played at
Hmm.
the stadium. Forget the teams even. I wasn't in town when the game was on, so I could,
Was it this year or
yeah, well, it was November 25.
then it was the Falcons. I think it was the Falcons. I
And I
know
feel
that.
like it was the Colts. So together, you need two teams.
Funnily enough, I could find out because I actually have a T-shirt that I bought for my dad because
Oh, bless him.
I'm from Atlanta, so
Yeah.
he knew about the game before I did, and then jokingly was like, "Are you going to go to the stadium?" I was like, "No," but anyway, I bought a T-shirt. I have no idea the
Oh,
other team
fantastic.
that's on it, but yeah. Anyway,
Bless.
sorry.
So yeah, but I'm self-employed, small business, jump onto anything that says you can be seen by tens, hundreds, thousands, possibly millions of people, right? Like
Yeah,
that's just good for business.
but if you could, I guess, like through because I don't know, Sports Illustrated like reaches out, like that's a pretty big like I don't know thing you get to do. So
Oh,
like
huge.
I don't know in the long run, like would you ever pivot from just doing or would you ever stop doing like guides and then just do content and then you're like the history guy on all these accounts or
It's funny because the history guy is Dan Snow.
oh okay sorry a version of a
Yeah,
history guy
yeah.
not the history guy
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sorry
No, no, no. That's because I've worked with his company, History Hit, before, and that was fun.
uh-huh
That was a really big opportunity and a nice one. So yeah, he's certainly an inspiration. But would I do content only? Yes, and I love doing tours, and it's the best job I've ever done. And I very rarely don't enjoy a tour because people are just so interesting and fun. I mean, you've got to
hmm
deal with a real difficult person or difficult group to have it not work out on balance,
yeah
you know?
how many people are
Um,
usually on
Anywhere from one to about, I mean, I have the lungs that could probably do a group of 40, but
oh
it's not
wow
fun for people. So you want to hit 25 as a maximum because there's always, oh, can my friend come? And yeah.
yeah
And then sometimes you get these like little listening devices and then you can have 50 people and it's
yeah
fine
yeah
because everyone's got you in their ears, you know? Um, yeah, my job is very much tied to going into the center of Berlin every day, walking around, being able to talk loudly, talk quickly. And these are things that as a 36-year-old are all very easy, nice and fine. And if I can do all of that in 30 years, maybe. If I can do all of that in 40 years, I mean, hopefully we're not working when we're
yeah
in our 70s, but you don't know. And then there's what if I move? What if I go somewhere else? What if my family are not doing very well in the UK and that's the right thing to do is to move home, you know?
mm,
But
yeah
that's not a problem. But I think about those things and therefore having like I was very keen to transfer to stuff that has transferable skills. Fortunately, I was not a full-time tour guide in 2020. The majority of my friends here were, and they all had to struggle and scramble and find something else when the pandemic hit. And now I can comfortably say I could edit your video. I could record your podcast or my
hmm
YouTube makes a pitiful amount of money, but hopefully it won't. Hopefully it will start making more than 50 euros a week or whatever it is. And so it's a mixture of finding things that I think are super interesting. Like, I don't know if I should divulge such details. I didn't get paid by Sports Illustrated. I
yeah
just wanted to do it. I thought, oh, that sounds cool. Um, like that's a cool thing to say I've done, and like there'll be a good thing at the end of it, and I go, oh, I did that, I made that, that's fun. And so that's the kind of main driving force. And then obviously the second one is having enough money to have a nice enough life, and then the third is thinking about the future. What would keep me safe in the future, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. That is hard though, because I think with a lot of creators, like a lot of it's easy for me to say because A, I'm just starting with this, and then B, I have like this isn't my source of income. So like people would joke, they're like, "Oh, are you making money off?" I'm like, "No, of course I'm not making money off this yet." Like, I have another friend who does make money, like a lot of money off of Instagram, and so it's just like funny to hear like all the different perspectives of like people thinking that like, oh, just because you have a high follower account, you are making money off of socials when like in reality a lot of the opportunities that come it's just like I got to meet this person, I got to go to this event, I got to
Yeah,
eat at this
exactly. Yeah, but I think you've got to follow those things that are just interesting for you, that are satisfying for you, for your life in that way. Yeah, I mean, I indirectly make money through social media. You know, people see those videos and they're like, oh, I want to book a tour with that guy.
yeah.
Great. It's my marketing, but it isn't just marketing. You can watch all my stuff
Hmm.
and maybe you'll hear me say, hey, could you give me a follow, like,
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah,
Could you hand me some cash? That's fine. But 99% plus of the time, you can just watch stuff and learn stuff and you never have to think
yeah.
about giving me a cent.
But
And that's okay too.
do you have like any sort of like moral qualms? Like somebody asked me recently, because like I have that bit about the reading the newspaper.
Yeah.
And then somebody was like, oh, if like, I don't know, a Berlin newspaper wanted to like pay you to just read their newspaper, like, are you buyable? And I was like, I think I probably am. Like, I hate to say that. Everyone has a price. Like, my price would be a lot higher if it was, like, an Axel Springer publication.
You've got the money.
Yeah, if they got the money, all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I really love data, so
Yeah, I wonder if there is a price for you and Axel Springer. That would be it'd be interesting to see how many zeros are on the end of it. Yeah, I don't know. Do I have a price in that way? I think so. I think in the sense that the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence, and there's a lot of insecurity with being self-employed, especially in this country where they just seem to hate you and your very existence. And I don't make I make a livable wage. I'm not hard up, but there are easier ways to make money than doing what I do. And so, yeah, I'm tempted by the idea of security, but
Mhm.
also I've started a 9 to 5 twice in my life. And both times I cried in the first week at the thought that it is X number of years until I retire.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's for me.
Fair,
um,
fair.
and I'm not a big crier.
But that's actually my hard rule about a job. If you cry 3 times at the same job, then I get to quit. And actually, at my last that was the only one that I was like, "I can't quit," because I was this close to permanent residency, and I was just, like,
So
waiting. I was, like, waiting and waiting and waiting, and I was like, "I'm violating my rule set of, like, not crying." So, yeah, I totally empathize with you cry, you don't wanna do it. That's fine.
yeah.
So, like, there's some element of, like, getting to do what you actually love, I
Oh
feel like
yeah.
is
No, my current mess of an employment situation has never once made me cry.
that's
So
good.
there are frustrations, there's ups and downs. I think people don't often want to hear that from people on social media though, if they know you from there. Like you don't want to do the you should feel sorry for me kind of thing, because you're also in people's like entertainment and
Yeah.
happy space, and that's fine. And also just really shouldn't feel sorry for me. I'm fine. I'm the
No, no, I'm just joking.
happiest I've ever been, really.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that things are perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said something online recently that really made me laugh, which is that you've hit a milestone, you've got 6,000 followers, you're really happy about it, which is great, by the way, well done. And you said, and I got here without having to make a Mitkata bitter
Yeah.
joke,
Yeah, yeah.
which I just loved because I was like, yeah, there's a lot of that out there, isn't there?
But that's what social media to me is just a lot of it's just slop. And I'm sure somebody, well, judging by the hate comments I get, like someone, plenty of people think that what I make is slop as well. But yeah, it's just the same. You'll see like the Mick Bitta jokes. You'll see the usually like opening the windows in cold temperatures jokes. What else is there?
Opening the windows vertically as well as,
Yeah. Oh
um,
no, German windows. I'm like,
yeah. Yeah. It's you've seen it a good number of times. Those things are quite low hanging fruit, but I guess they work,
mhm.
especially if we've seen them multiple times.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
I'm not here. Well, I was going to say I'm not here to shit on other people, but actually, you
See, that's
mentioned.
good of you because I love shitting on other people. No.
Let's just name some people and then point and laugh at them. No, but you mentioned slop. So firstly, anyone watching this knows that what you do isn't slop and has real value. Secondly, something that so with a public persona, you have to really pick and choose your battles, right?
Mhm,
And I tend not to pick any battles because I
mhm.
make stuff, people watch it. 99% of the people that watch it enjoy it. It's fine. But
But
recently, the Visit Berlin account has been posting like objective AI slop, like embarrassing
hmm
rubbish. And Visit Berlin is a company that is owned by, I believe, the state government. This is your department. You're good at this kind of stuff. So the state government of Berlin, and their remit is essentially to promote Berlin as a tourist destination, which is a pretty broad remit, but there's a wealth of things to talk about here. Like I only talk about history. I'm going to see it from that perspective, but
hmm
there's loads of like stuff to do and things happening and events and all sorts. And so I've seen them been posting this slop lately, and I decided to comment yesterday about it, or a couple of days ago.
I
And
saw that. Are you getting like backlash or have they
no,
reached?
no,
Okay.
no, no. The reply that they sent me, which is a public reply on a comment, I can't say for sure that it was written by ChatGPT, but I would be willing to
Oh
bet a lot of
no.
money on it. And it was just this corporate, oh, thank you for your feedback. Yeah, I've written these things before myself
Yeah.
as well, but it was just like infuriating. And the reason that it infuriates me that they're posting this AI slop, which is a minority of what they post, and they engage with, as they've said to me, photographers and influencers and things. But you have a real city to show off, and that is your remit.
Yeah.
And I work in tourism in this city, and so you are representing me and all of my colleagues and everyone I've ever worked with, people I think are great, people I think are terrible. You're representing all of us, and it is easy to do. So the thing that kind of tipped me over the edge was this animated bear, kind of looked like a cheap Pixar movie thing, and he's like
Yeah, but it's
slam
like,
dunk.
yeah, the one at like Brandenburger or yeah, like,
He's slam
but
dunking his basketball.
which like, okay, cool, but like you have the actual gate that you could just show.
You have the gate that you could show, or you could do a did you know about basketball fact. So I like to come at them with something constructive, right? People
Uh-huh.
who just present a problem, fine. But if you present a solution too, that's also quite good. And I said, you could talk about the basketball court that the US occupying forces set up inside the Tempelhof airport. Like that's a cool did you know basketball fact from like, yeah, a basketball court inside of a Nazi airport set up by the Americans to we're hosting our first NBA game. That's a cool journey, right?
Wait, what? Okay, sorry, you got to back up to that one. That is actually a cool story.
It's a
Okay,
cool
wait.
story. You know as much as I do about it now. They
Oh,
set up a
okay, that
basketball court in there. I haven't done a story on this myself, but it's a big building with a lot of room, and I guess you need a lot of vertical height for
oh,
a basketball court.
okay.
And so, yeah, that was a US Air Force Base,
Yeah,
Tempelhof.
yeah,
So that's what they did, right? Cool, engaging,
yeah.
whatever.
Engaged. Look, right then. I was into it.
Hooked you in. Behind the North Korean embassy, very clearly visible from the street, is a basketball hoop. Could post about that. You could just be like, hey, maybe we'll finally get Dennis Rodman to, shoot through this hoop.
Yeah,
I don't know basketball, right?
yeah, yeah.
I'm from the UK. I've never been particularly interested in basketball. I saw a game once and I was like, so get why Americans aren't into football. Like, this is fast. There's lots of points.
I don't know.
There's pyro. Like, this is so cool.
Did you go to a Berlin Alba?
A long
Yeah,
time ago, but I
yeah,
was
yeah,
like, fair play, guys. Like, fair play. This is
yeah,
good fun.
yeah,
But my point is rather, you've got all of these real things you could show off. We have Alba
yeah.
Berlin. You could interview a basketball fan who's like a 12-year-old and be like, how excited are you to see your first NBA game? There are so many ideas, and that's what AI is good at, by the way. Like, hey, give me 20 ideas for something basketball and Berlin related, and
hmm
then you can make your good thing based on that. But yeah, to put out slop when your remit is to represent a real place.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
and that's something that I definitely, yeah, I struggle with as far as like what is and isn't an appropriate use of AI. And I think in content, yeah, it's true. Like I definitely will use ChatGPT as like a back and forth, but like nothing irritates me more is when I get like I've literally gotten DMs where somebody said that he said your AI slop is the scourge of the internet, and I was like, man, like this is insulting because I wrote that. I was like that came from my brain. Like, yeah, I don't know.
And Twitter already exists if you need a scourge of the internet.
Yeah,
Like, it's
yeah,
already
yeah,
there.
yeah.
That's a shame. I mean, I also make frequent use of AI behind the scenes.
hmm
It's great for the sparring back and forth stuff. It's great
Yeah.
for comparing two texts. It's great for translation. It's good for so
hmm
many things. It's especially good if you know what you're talking about, so you know where it makes mistakes. It is bad at representing a real place with an
Yeah, yeah.
animated bear
No,
that
that's fair.
does nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm not annoyed that they use AI.
hmm
I'm annoyed that they're not
How they use.
fulfilling their remit of representing Berlin because, I assume that this game will be at the is it the Uber Arena now
Yeah.
that it's called? And there's all those restaurants. I mean, they're all chain restaurants, whatever. They'll be
Hmm.
fine. But these are all businesses that benefit from this game, and
Hmm.
so do the hotels and everything. This is going to draw a lot of money and attention to the city. So do that. Draw money and attention to this city. And yeah, hello, Visit Berlin.
Talking directly to you.
I'm sure I'm your favorite person of January 2026.
You're like, I both love this city. Don't really like what Visit Berlin's doing, but yeah.
Yes, which is why I've also decided to follow their account closely and look for the good stuff they do as well.
Yeah.
If you're just there, if who's the old guys from the Muppets? Statler and Waldorf. And if you're just the old guys from the Muppets just complaining about everything, like you
Yeah.
better be funny like the Muppets, you know?
Okay. Yeah,
You know,
that's
if I'm
fair.
just whinging,
Hmm.
it's not helping.
But then also, I feel like a lot of the comments on your videos, though, are people being like, I came to Berlin like for you or like for your content or,
Yeah, that's very flattering that they say that. Or oh, I love your stuff. I'm planning a trip to Berlin.
yeah.
Like, yeah, that's great.
I
I
feel like you're
mean,
doing your part for the tourism board. So,
oh yeah, so I have a leg to stand on when I
yeah, yeah.
criticize Visit Berlin.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'm not just some guy.
Yeah.
Like I'm in the industry, and
Yeah.
I want it to do better. I'm not like, why is this so terrible? It's
Yeah.
like this should be better, and they have it's their job, and we all pay taxes for them to do a good job of it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
like, get on with it, guys. You know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't like if say another Berlin tour guide started doing what I'm doing and started making videos, and they're their first ones and they're not very good. I wouldn't be like, why are you doing a shit job? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Of
like this
course.
is terrible. No,
Yeah.
this is an organization that should be that does represent my industry, and they
Hmm.
should be doing it well.
Yeah.
And they're not some of the time.
Some of the time. All the caveats there.
All the
Yeah.
caveats. Yeah. Because they might ask me to do some work for them.
Yeah. In which case, he's listening.
One day.
Just like me, Axel Springer. If you want to pay.
He's dead. I'm sorry. His wife is still alive. There was a big age gap between them. What was her name? Frida.
Ah,
Frida is her name.
okay.
Yeah.
I actually I don't know this history.
So I know it from a really fun story. I did a video on it a couple of years ago because I was mentioned in a Springer thing. What was it? It was just a photo I posted, actually. There was, on the U-Bahn, you have these little yellow signs like no food, no alcohol,
Yeah. Yeah.
dogs on a lead or whatever it is. And someone just put beneath that, matching perfectly, just a red line through AFD, like,
Okay.
so no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's funny. I just posted it. And then for some reason that like did numbers. It wasn't a video or anything, whatever. And so then they featured it on some website of theirs.
Why is it always the content that you like don't plan out at all?
Always. Always. And like journalists, like they don't have to ask for permission to share stuff that's public. That's totally fine. But I was like, maybe I should just do an Axel Springer story then, just to distance myself from which is the story of Berlin's largest penis. Which
How have I not seen this story?
so few people know this. It's next to Checkpoint Charlie. It's on the side of what used to be the Taz building. And
What?
so the Taz did a story about the editor of not the Berliner Zeitung, the Bild, about their editor a long time ago. I don't know if he's still around, Kai Diekmann. And like, he publishes tabloid stuff. He'd published a lot of like sex and penis focused stories, effectively. So the Taz published a parody article about him and about how he got a penis enlargement, and it's not true. So he sued them,
Right.
and he won. However, the Taz was made to pay a grand total of absolutely nothing, zero. Like the court said, you're in the business of invading people's privacy, so you've won, but you're not getting anything. Like,
Wow.
yeah,
That's rough.
it's funny. And so then the Tats decided to make I guess it's a frieze on the side of the, again, former headquarters, which was, Kai Diekmann with a 5-story tall penis, which has a cobra head at the end, and it's being charmed by Frieda Springer.
Funny.
And the piece is called Frieda sei mit dir. So peace be with you, but
Is that
Frieda
still
be-
there?
Yeah, still there. I show it on my Friedrichstrasse tour, if you want.
Oh, all right.
I don't know why I'm in full marketing.
No. That's okay. Because like I've actually avoided going to Checkpoint Charlie like 4 times in the last. Whenever I have a visitor,
Cool.
they're like,
So
I want to
you
go
can
there.
Go 1 block away.
Yeah.
Right?
Like now I'll tolerate the Checkpoint Charlie so that I can go see. This.
Well, what's also nearby, so if you imagine you're heading north through Checkpoint Charlie, so towards Friedrichstrasse station,
Yeah.
if you turn right and go down 1 block, A, there's no one there, including no pickpockets. B, that's where there's a very sad story of a guy who died. He was 18 years old. Peter Fechter was his name. This is one of the most famous cases at the Berlin Wall because it was a slow and painful death. And there's the whole story is out there with photographs, and there's a monument to him, and there's a couple of people getting lunch that work at the offices nearby. I mean, it is such a little calm corner.
Okay.
So you can actually get some, you can properly think because Checkpoint Charlie is just so hectic.
Yeah.
You can read a very important story and then you can go and see the largest penis in the whole city. I mean, what a great
What
afternoon.
a win-win.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry to go into history storytelling.
No, but that was really relevant. That was relevant to the newspaper. That was relevant. That's what I wanted. Yeah, in general. Because is there? I guess I don't know. Do you find for yourself? Because I assume like the tours are actually like you've got like an idea of what you're going to say at each
Yeah.
point, and then that's like kind of like rehearsed and probably like theatrically improved upon over time.
Yeah, it's rehearsed in the sense sometimes it's a video that I've done, and
Mhm.
so now that you're in the business of editing videos, isn't it fun to hear you say the same 3 seconds over and over and
It's
over?
awful. I hate my own voice.
You get used to it after a while, you know.
I'm like, wow, I'm so annoying.
Um, what I hate, and sorry to anybody viewing or listening, but what I really hate is,
Oh, that's yeah. Okay, that's enough. I get it. I get it.
and how many times have you heard yourself do I do that all the time? Like, not anymore.
For me, it's the yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, stop making noise. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
these
the
things that are
worst.
normal in real life are not normal when they're recorded. Absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah,
have the same. My most viral video ever is full of those noises that I
yeah,
will not make again.
yeah. It's the
And
worst.
it's just full of comments of stop doing that. And I'm like, it's got
Here's my
five
mouth.
million views. Like it should have got 2,000. It's a rubbish video.
Yeah,
But yeah, the one that went like nuts is full of these awful noises, and that's the curse of the internet for you. That's the scourge of the internet is me making horrible noises.
yeah. You should like edit those all into one and then put them in like an ASMR video for somebody else. There's
Well,
an audience for
maybe I'll
that.
send you the link to it, and whenever anybody calls you the scourge of the internet again, you can say, "Oh no, 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 it's this guy."
This guy specifically making these noises.
You might not like me, but the one thing we can agree on is like this guy.
Oh, I wanted to ask though about so on the tours though, because does it ever happen? I don't know. You strike me as the kind of person who like gets a new fact nugget and then you're like, I gotta shoehorn this in to this tour. So like, how many times do the tours kind of get updated? If somebody's been on your tour once, can they go again and get different info?
I don't recommend people to do the same tour twice. Like
Okay.
maybe like you'd come on a tour and then you'd have a visitor and you'd do it twice for that reason. So the core is always going to be the same. But yeah, things always get updated and changed and you tell a story in a different way. But also what's key and one thing that I think makes a good tour guide is talking to the person in front of you,
Hmm.
not so yes, things are rehearsed in a sense, but you're from the US and I know you've lived in many places across the world that I haven't or haven't even visited, so I can't really touch on those culturally. But I can think, okay, you broadly know World War II from an American perspective, right? Like,
Kind of,
yeah,
I
yeah.
guess.
It's not the
Yeah.
first time you've heard of it.
From the winner's side.
So, I mean, we do the same thing from where I'm from. And so therefore like you'll have an image of D-Day in your head and things like this. And
Hmm.
none of those things that happened here
Yeah.
because what happened here is the Soviets invaded and it's all Eastern Front. So I can probably safely assume that, we can start from the beginning almost with that stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm showing around somebody from Russia, which, they will know what they call the Great Patriotic War and they'll know the day and time that it ended in the name of the general who was made into a
Okay.
hero and all this. And so, you're starting on at least page 2 with them. And I've had particularly older guests from India. It's happened less recently, but they've asked quite earnestly, like, oh, so where's the Hitler statue? You're like, in the bin,
Yeah.
like in a museum. But they liked him, right? I'm like, yeah, they did for a bit and now they don't. But the way that the Nazis kind of marketed themselves to India would be like, well, we have a common enemy,
Yeah.
and that's the British. And if you grew up in India in the is when the country has just become independent and the Brits
Hmm.
are the bad guys and you've created your own thing, you wouldn't say that other European guy also killed lots of people like they did to us. And so this wasn't a bad interaction I had. It was more like, oh, we've come from two completely different worlds.
No, and I mean that goes also like when I lived in China, I had no idea because I never really understood like why China and Japan had this like beef. I was like, why can't China get over World War II? Like that was a long time ago. Da da da. And then like my Chinese friend was like, okay, the U.S. got an official apology from Japan for everything that happened after you guys bombed the shit out of them, and then you know, China never got any sort of apology for like go Google like, you know, the rape of Nanjing
Yeah.
or Unit 738, 730. I don't
I
remember
don't remember the
the
number, but
number.
it's
Yeah.
grim.
Yeah, it makes like the experiments that the Nazis did look like nothing. It's
And it's very,
insane.
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can, yeah, once that door is opened, you're like, oh, I
Yeah, I
understand a bit
see.
more.
I get it
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
That I should say is one of the beautiful things about being a guide as well, is meeting people from across the world and finding out
Hmm.
those different perspectives. I probably wouldn't recognize the Indian chap that I mentioned where he sat next to me. It was years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a nice guy, and he was happy and willing to listen to what I had to say, and so on and so on and so on. It just made me realize, oh,
Yeah.
there are all these different perspectives out there, and you have to talk to the person in front of you. You have to meet them where they are. And if people start saying completely egregious stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
if that was a German guy on the tour saying, "Where's the Hitler statue? Why isn't there one around?" then the context is very different,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you go like, "Maybe this tour isn't for you." Would you like a read from
We're
that?
not we're not gonna have a good time.
We're gonna have a bad time, man.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do that.
I am curious though, because yeah, obviously I think a lot of people come here for like World War II
Yeah,
history, but then, you know, not a lot necessarily happened in Berlin. But then to me, what's far more interesting that I've learned about since coming here is all of the Cold War history. And to me, that's like far more interesting.
that's great. No, I mean, the, it's all interesting to me. Like that's that.
Hmm.
Though, yeah, Nazi and World War II stuff does the best in terms of numbers, which is better for
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you can only do things that are not the best for your business for so long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cold War is second place. Weimar era is third place, maybe,
Okay.
of the stuff that I do. But I know one of the city's most important archaeologists, and he can tell me a bunch of stuff about the 13th and 14th centuries that I don't really know anything about.
Yeah.
And that probably isn't going to do amazing numbers online, but it's the whole story of the city is fascinating to me.
Hmm.
There's no part that I don't want to find out about or touch on
Hmm.
or whatever. But yeah, what makes Berlin kind of unique is I often say the last 100 years, and that's because I started the job in 2010, and now it's kind of like the last 100 years and a bit.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, there's a huge audience out there for the Cold War history, and one thing I really like about that is, there are people who lived through it here, and that's super interesting. And I've got to meet people who would have served here for the Brits and the US, and obviously Germans who were living here on both
Mhm.
sides. Not so many Soviet or French people have landed on my page, unsurprisingly, given that it's all in English. But
Yeah.
uh, the fact that you can have people chime in and say, "Oh yeah, I remember when that happened. The city went nuts. It was so exciting, or it was shut down, or whatever." I was speaking to a guy recently who was so excited because he'd been down to what's called the Bridge of Spies between Berlin and
Hmm.
Potsdam, so between former West Berlin and East Germany. And he was like, "Yeah, I remember once when I was down there with my binoculars looking at the Russian guy looking at me, and then like he joked and pulled up his gun and pointed at me, and I had a bit of a brown pant moment." And then he went back there, say 5, 6 years ago, and he was like, "Oh no, it's just nice now."
Yeah. It's so weird.
And he struggled to cross the bridge. He was like, "I was never allowed past this line. Like this
Oh,
is
weird.
this is weird. I'll get shot if
Yeah.
I go over there." And you go down there today, and it's just this beautiful area.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
to hear those little anecdotes from people.
Well, that even happened when my parents came to visit. My dad and I just went together to the Stasi Museum, and my dad was in the FBI for 30 years. And so he was working when he first started at the FBI in the US, it was around the same time that that would have been operational. And he had this like weird look on his face when we walked into the building, and he was like, something about like the smell is like the same as the government office in the US. And I was like, I don't know what it says that like government offices in like different, you know,
Industrial cleaners, man.
industrial cleaners, I guess kind of the same, but yeah, like, and then as we're like walking through, he's like, because obviously in the Stasi headquarters, they still have like the same furniture and like, and he was like, the furniture is exactly the same as it was on the US, like obviously completely opposite intelligence organizations, but yeah, it was just like,
Yeah,
he had like, it was just like, I
all
don't know,
these flashbacks.
yeah,
That's
you could see
funny.
him having like deja vu over it.
Especially because the Staatsmuseum Museum is very 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
Even by East German standards, at the end, it was a bit
Yeah.
outdated.
But I mean, same, but the US is the same way. I mean, if
Yeah,
you, in the 80s, they would have been using furniture
yeah,
from
of
the
course. It
60s. Yeah.
wasn't all new. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I would never have guessed that it would have been the same.
Yeah.
That's funny. I was once asked to do a tour by a guy who I already knew. So this wasn't like it was a very funny request. He said, "My family who live in the US, but my dad is from Cuba.
Hmm.
Can you do a tour about how awful communism is?" And I was like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
That's okay. But I was like, okay, like what's your dad like, you know?
Yeah.
And then I met this guy, and yeah, he'd I can't remember if he'd worked in FBI or CIA or something of that ilk. And so he really knew his stuff. It wasn't the tour of how bad communism was at all. It was just such a funny, it was a funny way of phrasing it. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite amazing. Again, this is the beauty of the Cold War history, is you can
Mhm.
experience it in a completely different way. It's less abstract, right? The further
Mhm.
back you go in time, the more abstract it is, the more clothes start to look like costumes if we were to wear them today, and so on and so on. But yeah, I mean, maybe a weakness for me is post 1990. Obviously, a lot of stuff has happened, stuff I could easily chat about, but could I do an amazing tour on just post 1990? I think I would struggle. I'd be a little bit out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are
Interesting.
people out there that can do it. It's not impossible.
No, for sure. Yeah, because originally, well, not originally, but when we were talking about having Pip on as well, and we were gonna, yeah, we bounced around the idea of doing is history repeating itself now versus kind of in the Weimar era. Like, do you get a lot of people asking about that, or like kind of how things are similar today versus then?
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
think that it is repeating itself, but that's
That's
my
I admire your optimism. I mean, nothing obviously repeats 100%, but yeah, I think you can make a
to
lot
be
of.
clear, I don't think the situation's great right now.
Yeah,
But
yeah, no, I
I
got
don't think
that.
it's okay. I don't think it's
Um,
repeating.
no, I think you can see similarities in the kind of strongmen and dictators and wannabe dictators of the world to the Hitlers, Mussolinis, Francos, Hirohitos of the
Uh-huh.
time. So yeah, I think I do see that. I think I'm often so when I was a manager, I would tell new guides to not get on the moral high horse, especially about current events, because you don't know who you're talking to in front of a large audience.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And so if people are on holiday for a weekend in Berlin, they don't necessarily want to hear your views on the news right now. They've signed up for a tour of sightseeing
History.
and history in Berlin, right? And there's a difference between having a conversation with people, if they come
Mm,
up to you and they say X, Y, Z, and you have a conversation, and hey, I'm just going to talk about the news now,
mhm.
right? And yeah, I'm kind of keenly aware of the talking about the news for me can be bad for business,
Yeah.
because people aren't signed up to hear what I think about the world right now. But yeah, I think you'd be. Well, I was going to say, I think you'd be foolish to think there aren't parallels. But hey, have I just called you a fool?
No, no, I think there are parallels. I just, yeah, I don't, with the limited knowledge I have now, I feel like
Mm.
we are in a more stable place politically than we were because like the system of checks and balances is so strong in Germany.
Well, in terms of Germany falling into a dictatorship,
Yeah.
I was thinking more globally.
Oh, globally, yeah, that's so yeah, I don't want to think about that.
So
I literally talk about German politics because I can't handle dealing with US.
yeah. And so we were kind of talking about different things there, because the president of the USA at the time of our conversation has just abducted the Nicolas Maduro from Venezuela,
Yeah,
and is
yeah.
now talking about taking Greenland. And so I was like, yeah, these are very Putin-esque and be Hitler-esque
Yeah, no,
moves.
I'm not arguing
Okay.
that at all.
I was like, oh, funny that we're different about that.
No, I was talking about Germany specifically.
Well, I'm also, I have opinions because I read the news like everybody else, but if I ummed and ahed about calling myself an expert when it comes to Berlin history, I'm certainly not an expert on current events. In terms of Berlin, I think, or Germany, I think what the AfD is missing is somebody with any kind of broad appealing
Mhm.
character. They don't have a Donald Trump, Nigel Farage, or Marine Le Pen, or the Dutch fellow. Do you know what? I'm happy I've forgotten his name. Let's leave it that way. If they had that, because they have a similar amount of support as those people.
Yeah.
If they had
If they
like
had
an
someone,
affable figurehead, someone that people like and look up to,
yeah,
I think we'd be toast. Yeah, I
yeah.
think I don't share your view that we have all those checks and balances in place, because I've spent a long time in this country, and
Mhm.
I'm not particularly faithful when it comes to Germany acting quickly about anything. Did you ever watch Austin Powers, the guy
Yeah.
coming on the steamroller?
Yeah. Okay.
So it's Germany's, solution to any problem is just, this thing is coming at me. And
Yeah.
yeah, so the fact that the AfD is being watched by the Institution for the Protection of the Constitution,
Yep.
okay, do something.
Yeah.
No, there's so many rules and laws in the way of doing a thing, and you're like, right, why are you not doing a thing?
Yeah.
And yeah, there are multiple instances that I've experienced that have led me to build up that opinion.
What I mean by, but it's the flip side of why I don't think that they'll have like the same like kind of takeover. Like, okay, say they have someone who's kind of like a rallying point and they become
Mm,
a bit more prevalent in politics. Like, I also don't think they'd be able to get anything done or pushed forward because they're all like nobody can get anything done or nobody can like
yeah, yeah, potentially, but this is something I talk about on tours quite a bit. The kind of the silver lining to the very dark cloud of a dictatorship is stuff
uh-huh.
gets done, and because you don't have to and ask people for permission and debate things, stuff gets done. So yeah, should the bad guys get in power, they're not going to play by the rules. So I don't think you can look to the rules for safety.
Mm.
Unfortunately, we've seen this with the
I mean, we see it
Brexit
in the
vote.
US right now.
Of
Yeah, yeah.
course, yeah. The Brexit referendum for me, I mean, it was proven at some point that they spent too much money or they vote leave side either spent more money than they were allowed to or did some things online that they weren't supposed to. Blah blah blah. Well, if it's 1 minute after polls have closed, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They got the result they wanted. It led to this massive mess, and whether they were legal or illegal in their actions, they got
Yeah.
what they wanted. So yeah, the rules only contain the people that stick to them.
Yeah, no, that's true. That is true. I think, yeah, I don't know. I think for myself personally, it's like hard to, because I am interested in politics, but then at the same time, I do, and it's a privilege that I can put my head in the sand in some capacities. But definitely with US politics, I had to stop reading it because I was like, it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And then, yeah, like, especially with what just happened this past, weekend. Did it happen this weekend?
Of
With
January, I think
3rd
it
of
was.
January? Yes. But anyway, yeah. But anyway, my point is it's a privilege to put my head in the sand as far as US politics go.
Yeah,
But
I think you need to do that to a certain extent. Like I got very upset and angry and vocal and grumpy and not fun to be around for probably a couple of years with the whole mess that was Brexit. And my
mhm,
advice to myself would be, yeah, I'm very bad at taking this advice, by the way, but accept the things that you can't change.
yeah,
Don't doom scroll. Don't get so into it that it becomes your life, becomes your identity,
yeah,
because whilst these things are bad and you should care about them, you should also have a happy, functional life, and
uh,
not take all your privileges and so on for granted. The sun's out today and it's just snowed and it's pretty outside and you can go for a walk and you can be happy.
yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
okay to be happy as well. And
yeah,
if you just get consumed by the news is always bad. No one clicks good news. I don't care if
yeah,
10 puppies were born and they're all happy and healthy.
true. Yeah,
This happens every day. And so, yeah, the more news you have to get the balance right.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's definitely about finding the balance, but then, yeah, also for social media engagement, it does always have to be like a little bit sassy or like a little bit wrong. Like the number of times I think about this now, like making videos, because sometimes I will say something that I know is wrong
Oh,
because I
really?
know it's going to get comments.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And so it'll be something that like, it's not like a hill that I'm like willing to die on, but I know that I'm saying it and somebody's going to be like, but actually, and that is, yeah, also annoying. But then I think to myself, like, how many news outlets are also doing that?
Oh, constantly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta, I mean, but it's the kind of same problem with the various extreme right wing movements in the world not playing by the rules.
Yeah.
If you want to present things in a dry, neutral, factual way, that's great. It's a very valuable source, but you're always going to reach fewer people. And so, what's the net benefit to society if everyone is going straight to the rage bait? Yeah, the rage bait must be fought somehow. I'm not pretending to have answers to this stuff.
No,
What I've found, because I don't intentionally try and rile people up, but it'll happen anyway.
just by the nature of existing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I actually had quite a nice interaction recently. Someone was angry with a video that I made, and they were like, "Oh, why did you say this?" Blah, blah, blah. And it was such a small minor point. So why did you even write this? And so I just responded to them. Usually I don't respond to the negative stuff so much, but I just responded. I just did it to annoy you, you specifically. I think it was. And then he got
Stirring the pot.
he saw, I don't know if he was angry in the moment, but he sent a very nice reply and he was like, "Oh, don't worry about it, mate. I love your stuff, blah, blah." And I was like, "Yeah, you're all
That's
good.
it.
Don't worry." And we had this very nice interaction, but it was
Yeah.
just, yeah, sometimes I think, yeah, sometimes it can be quite satisfying to poke back,
Yeah.
but
But you've
not be
heard
personal.
that like bean soup theory. My friend who does full-time influencing was talking about this. She was like, you could post the perfect video of you making bean soup with like a full explainer of how to make bean soup. And there would be some idiot in the comments who writes, I don't like beans. I was like, that's very accurate.
I just want you to know that whenever I do make beans, I sing "I want to eat beans" to the tune of "I want to break free," and I
I love
recommend
that
you
for
do
you.
that too.
Yeah, I definitely do that. Whenever I make beans.
No, I think you should. I think that's like
Yeah.
advice to you, one
Okay.
human to another. It'll
Yeah.
improve your life. Great.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna take that and really run with it. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that's beautiful.
yeah,
That
yeah.
is.
That's my philosophy on life.
Any other like little day-to-day things you do that you want to share with them?
I think the world should know because I'm so cool and interesting.
Well, any other interesting tidbits about yourself that you'd like to share with the class?
Yes. For anybody who asks how my curly hair looks, how it does, it's because whenever I wash my hair, I condition twice. Rinse and repeat the conditioner, not the shampoo. If you've got
Okay.
curly hair, that's my advice.
Okay. And how often are you doing a full condition?
Is this making it in?
I don't know.
I recommend that for my fellow curly hair people, you get to know your hair specifically. You straight hair people can wash your hair every day, and that's fine for you, but you're going to lose a lot of definition. If you've got curls, and the right time for you might be every 5 days, every 7 days, it might be every 2 weeks, you know? You
Okay.
just got to find what works for you. Hey, the fewest amount of people watch or listen at the end. So if you've got this far,
If you've gotten this far, now you
and
know.
you've got curly hair,
And you have curly hair
and you like to eat,
and you like to eat beans. That was the episode.
thank you. I hope I didn't ruin your show.
No, this was super fun. Thank you for coming on. Seriously, I mean it. Yeah, it has been just like really fun to watch yeah, your content grow because I think I started following you on like my personal account when you were at like K or something.
Oh,
And so
nice.
seeing
Thank
it
you.
like 7x is pretty crazy.
It's great, and I'm a big fan of yours, and keep going.
Thank you so much for being here, Jonny Whitlam, and we're done.
Thank you.